Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Knowing the way our minds work, or perhaps my mind works. I tend to get obsessive, yeah, and, uh, which has to be moderated with uh, a deeper understanding of the process of Dhamma practice. And it's especially the case in meditation. We shouldn't let meditation get in the way of Dhamma. This means when we're Dhamma arises with faith, with happiness, with sila, with goodness. And so the heart feels comfortable, comfortable in what's skillful and quite bright. And then we can start to tune in on this, and sustain it and take it into the body. So often it can be the case that we kind of half understand this, but don't really get it. It's okay. I've got to meditate. And focus on trying to meditate, and all the kind of gladness is gone. We squashed it out. You see, the chitta's in everything. Is involved with everything. You see, chitta's behind everything. So every movement of your mind that you make, that affects your chitta. Every movement of your body that you make, it affects your chitta. Chitta's involved with everything. It's kind of sensing everything. Yeah. So, if you get too agitated about trying to practice, that affects your chitta. Yeah. If you get too worried about it, how well you're doing, that affects your chitta. If you start doubting, is this possible or not? I really don't know if I can do it. That affects your chitta. And all this creates turbulence, you see. And then if you try to press it into shape, chitta gets squashed. So it can't do the kind of release. See, so let's recognize, you look at the big picture. This is about release from stress and suffering, and release from holding on and clinging. We must be careful we don't cling to our ideas of meditation. And you feel clinging when you really get it. You can feel it like a cramp, you know. So you can notice it in obvious things like, you have your favorite food. My food. I've really got to have that. Desire, got it. Or some treasured object that you have that you feel yourself clinging to and holding on to. And it's painful if it breaks or you lose it. You know what it feels like clinging. So it's very, very almost a reflex, hardly conscious. Like it just kind of happens. So you've got to really keep reassuring the chitta that you'll be okay if you don't cling. You'll be okay. How does it know that? You have to gradually wean it, coax it. So here's something that is given to you that you don't need to cling to because it's given to you. It's always going to be given to you. Don't worry. there'll be another breath coming along. You know? So that helps them. Oh, okay. Now, so it does need encouraging. We also got to uh, calm it so it will actually um, be able to learn. Chitta is too anxious or tense. It can't really listen very well. Mm. This is why it's called everything to do with steadying, calming, uh, reassuring. And this is about cultivating skillful states that you can manage, you can get to. As I've talked about it before, skillful states are both agreeable and they strengthen and they cause the citta to feel more complete, stronger, more confident, more assured. Mm. Whereas unskillful states have a kind of, firstly, they seem agreeable because the citta is blinded by them. Oh, flash. Oh, yeah. And then you get this rush, and then it doesn't lead to opening and strengthening. The citta is shaken, stuck, trapped, or even broken, by violence or by passion. It feels good in the moment because it's like a flash. The citta gets excited by, and it goes, and then it ends. When you follow passion, it gets to the place where you start to feel really a bit uneasy and then uncomfortable, and then maybe even a bit broken or a hangover. And then the citta is weak. Has the whole get something else. So it's this addictive process. The idea is with skillful states is they cause the citta to open and expand, whereby for increasing lengths of time you don't have to keep putting more in. You can just, oh, that's really sweet. And it's like I call it like when you have warm air and it rises, warm air rises, and they call it thermals, these rising currents of warm air. And the great birds, they just hang on it. Occasionally just flip, and they hang around. And they don't need to keep pumping. They just find where the current is and they just hang there, drifting around, looking at things. So skillful states are like that. If you warm things up, it starts to rise, and oh, here's no anger. Oh, here's no fear. Oh, here's no craving. Oh, this is sweet. It's maybe a little. Oh, yes, it lifts. Yeah. So of course this can go quite high. So we say skillful states are like this. So if we take it just on an ordinary day in the life, flesh and blood state, it's good health, makes you really focus on feeling bright and clear in your health. Then there's a certain sense of, yeah, I feel ready. I don't feel, body's not a burden to me. It's actually quite bright. It'll carry me along. What if we don't notice it? You don't notice it until it's gone. So you have to do that recollection. Yeah. And I have good friends. If you don't notice them until they're gone, somebody I can rely upon, somebody will support me, somebody who I enjoy their company. And I feel that's uplifting. This is not so difficult. And the Buddha said, even one or two is good. You don't need a whole crowd, even one. And so It's like this, you know. These are not that difficult, but often we don't really recognize it. And because the way the chitta is, you can even remember people in the past who were good to you, because you still get the same effect. Oh, she was so supportive. I'm so grateful. Literally. Because the chitta doesn't exist in time or space. Right? I was saying yesterday, it hasn't got a location in the sense world. It can be, it hovers behind that, all that. So future, past, present, here, that doesn't matter. As a chitta, these constructions, chitta's above that. So we can even rest on the goodness of things of past. And the Buddha, when he talked about mindfulness, he said, and one is mindful, one recollects and remembers deeds done long ago, things that occurred long ago. Right? That's what being mindful is. It means your citta can spread and gather teachings, examples from technically years ago, but it's still the resonance is still there. The chitta can still access. Oh yes, that's what he meant. Oh really? I get it now. You know, or that gesture that she did, those few words, just so I felt so calm by that, so reassuring. There it is, even lifting. Yeah. Mm. Any of these help to take you out of the sense of time and space, because it doesn't matter what place it is. It doesn't really matter what day it is, when it happened, where it happened. It doesn't even really matter who it happened. You recognize skillful Dhamma arises. And then the good that you have done, you know, the bad that you've turned away from, the places where you did make a mistake and you thought, that's not right. Don't do that again. This is called sila practice. It doesn't mean you always get it right. It means you get it wrong and you recognize and you understand and you resist and you determine not to do it again. That's called sila. Yeah, so we don't start out perfect. So every time one has learned that, you come back to that and say, yes, that's behind me now. And you feel the adhitthana parami is there. Yes, I am. I'm responsible. I'm strong. I'm able to recognize my faults. I'm able to correct things. This is the kind of, and I can forgive others. I don't have to, I can do the same with them. Forgive others. Don't have to carry ill will. This is kind of flesh and blood, daily life, uplift and Dhamma. So we hold that feeling and that what that does to the chitta, it sets it up, straightens it up, and you sustain your sati, your mindfulness on that, right? And linger. For that time, your mind is not crowded with worry or doubt or ill will or craving or restlessness. See? Yeah. And that's the aim of Dhamma practice. So, and then the teaching is that with those, and you feel a sense of feeling slightly lifted, There's a kind of what's the bodily sense to it. You feel, oh yeah, the weight is off my back, the tension's left my belly, I feel steady, I'm not restless and agitated, I feel calm. There's a bodily effect. So now focus on that, because this will strengthen and deepen the quality, and, and then begin to. This is where we start to think about. This is what we call meditation. Is this particular piece, where it really comes into all the unit called unification. Means the body comes in to as part of it, unifies body, heart, and mind. You can think something, you feel it in your heart, and you get it in your body. This is called unification. Unification is samadhi. Then this, to the extent that's developed, then the chitta can also sense, now I'm free from the cramp of ill will, the cramp of agitation, the cramp of depression and gloom. Now I can see things clearly. Now I can see things clearly. And this holding feels stressful. Just relax that. Claiming it as mine feels stressful. Don't need to do that. Relax that. And then this is then the realization. All this is conditioned phenomena. Uh, I don't need more of this because it's what it is. See that? Mm. And this could be when the discernment in the citta at this point doesn't really need words anymore, because once we've fully sensed it in the body, then you get the benefit, where the sort of the embodied experience is the teacher. Right? So normally we'd have the thinking mind would say, oh, that's that, that's that, that's that, that feels uncomfortable. You can let go of that. When we come into our body, for example, and it's kind of sensing it fully, and you really go into it fully, feeling something, you start to sense pressure building up somewhere, maybe in your back. You go there, and the body goes. It just shifts, right? Once you make the body more really intelligent, so it knows itself, and you're kind of holding something, and you feel it, release it. You don't have to say, let go of that. You pick up something hot. You don't have to say, this is 70, no, it's 85 degrees. This is the temperature which flesh starts to burn at. I think I should put it down. You go, oh, thank goodness. You don't have to think about it. Otherwise, we'd be dead by now. Yeah. So there's something kind of like, as it gets more refined, any of us can recognize we pick something hot up. But, but maybe not always the case. You get, for example, you're kind of so busy in your head thinking something. I don't figure this out. Right, gotta go. Oh, get and go. Get up. You don't realize your leg is numb, so you get up, fall over, because you don't really get full access to the body. So we lose access to it, of course. why the training is to be thoroughly sensitive to the entire body. And what that means, is a little more, or it's different from just, my ears and my fingernails, and it means the whole feeling sensitive body, the living body, the one you're in right now. Yeah. So right now, you probably don't have a liver. Right now, you probably don't have spleen. Just an idea. Right? Now, a doctor would say you have, but I can't. In terms of right now experience, it's not happening. Right? Right? So what's happening? What tells you have a body? You sure? Various weights, pressures, sensitivities. Now just expand that. Keep expanding and sensitizing that. Of course, you can say, okay, here's my eyes, my throat. You can do that, which is quite useful to really let the body know itself in detail. You do that thoroughly, carefully, then you begin to see it a sense. Oh yeah. Just like someone who's studied an area so thoroughly that they can immediately, something wrong here. You sometimes you hear or meet these amazing doctors who can, Chinese doctor, you go there and just puts his hand on the pulse. Mm. I think imbalance in the liver. Take these. Just can read the whole body through the pulses. Right? That sensitive probe. Mm. Or if you have, I had this occasionally had this treatment called craniosacral treatment. And this you kind of lie down and just relax, lie down and put the hands on the ankles. Okay. When's he going to do something? He doesn't do anything. Puts his hands on the ankles. And then you feel, oh, 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 what's happening? Said, yes, there's a channel in the left side of your shoulder was blocked, so we just opened it up. And one time I was doing it, and this man, he was an expert, put his hands on my ankles. And I felt a strange sense of relief somewhere in my head. He said, yeah, an aspect of the front ventricle of your cerebral cortex has just opened up. Just holding ankles. One can, so somebody outside can read it. So why can't we read it ourselves? Because because you haven't really studied it. But you don't have to be that, detailed. But you can get the sense of balanced. There's some pressure here that it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel something is straining. And you go there and the body goes, oh, shit. Because it doesn't want it. Body seeks harmony. Body seeks balance. It doesn't want imbalance. You don't have to tell it. It doesn't want it. So as soon as it finds it, it's intelligent and adjusts it. It adjusts it. Similarly, the chitta doesn't want stress. But in its confusion, it seeks antidotes to stress, like switch on the television when I'm restless and bored, or have something to nibble because I feel kind of vaguely lonely or restless, something to nibble, or whatever. And these aren't immoral. It's just like jitters just doesn't know where to find comfort. So so you have to give it some good food, and then it begins to be more sensitive. You tune it into the body, so that eventually the thinking process takes you so far that it can say, "Okay, you got it. Now, yeah, you just try a little bit on your own. Just a little bit on your own. You know." Mm, 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 mm. You notice certain things. Mm. So one thing you can notice is when you think the word me, I am, things start to shake. Go, well, oh, me, I am. Yeah. Right. Because the chitta knows that's here comes the pressure, here comes the need, here comes the got to, here comes the judgment, here comes the what are other people, how can I deal with other people? All this comes in. Here comes the pressure. And the average chitta doesn't know that this is what it is. It thinks it's a real thing. So when we expand the citta, it's just skillful state. It doesn't have to be a me there. Skillful state. That the citta is experiencing it directly. It doesn't have to go through this intermediary of called me. Right. So this is why these skillful states cultivated lead to the me is clinging. It's an experience of clinging, of holding and trying to solidify. Mm. Mm. And the I is associated with trying to make something happen, intention. So me is associated with perception, that aggregate. This is happening to me. What's the me? Few images, vague notion, a sense of familiarity, familiar moods and memories. All these drift in like leaves off a tree. So you've got a big heap called me. And it seems solid, but it's made up of little leaves, fell down, memory, thought, hope, worry, another memory, family, dog, house, body. That's me. Heap. The me heap. And the I is, got to do, must do, can't do, should do. It's a kind of urge to do. I want, I want, I don't want, I have to. And so you get this kind of zoom, zoom, zoom. And it's an arrow that never arrives anywhere. You shoot it, aiming for the bullseye of satisfaction. And you whoop, missed it. Never mind, shoot another one. Missed it. Never mind, shoot another one. It's quite close, shoot another one. I will be. Shoot. I can get away, shoot another one. Yeah. And then, of course, no, didn't quite make it. No, I shoot another one. Yeah. So it gets very busy. And when it's a busy, then the citta loses its space and it gets crowded. Mm. So as I say, we can't really know citta. We can't really see it as an object. We can see the qualities that cluster around it or wrap it up. And sankhara, these are activations, the activities, they cluster around it. And the perceptions, these are like entities that enter it, drop into it. So it's like kind of like a collection. These are called aggregates or collections. Feeling, collection, present feeling, unpleasant feeling, associated with sight, sound, touch, thought, different kinds, but all this stuff. It's like a gathering. These are called the aggregates, the gathering aggregates. And they tend to attract clinging. The citta tends to cling to one in order to follow. The me will give me solidity. The feeling will give me pleasure, and the I am will give me power. I can do what I want. So I clinging. These aggregates. But they're always shifting, moving around, shifting. It's rather like a flock of birds. So the flock of birds, as they're flying, you're looking in the sky, you see a flock of birds or you see a shoal of fish. It kind of looks like one thing, doesn't it? And it's quite a collection. One thing flying around. And it goes. One drifts off, but mostly it stays there. So it seems like a permanent thing. That's called my mind. It's the drifting. My citta is doing it. And then, one drops off. There's still the sense of, two drop off. Still another one joins. They're forming the same pattern. That's my citta. That's what it's doing. No, that's not your citta. That's the flock that have gathered around to this space and formed and are kind of collecting together. And when they get very crowded, they crowd so close together, you don't notice the space between them. So it gets very, very dense and very active because all these wings are fluttering. Yeah? It gets very dense, very active. See, there's no space in there at all, almost. A little bit, because they can still flutter. Only a little bit, just enough for the sankharas to keep fluttering. Yeah? But it's so little. The citta's no room to sort of know itself because it's just so crowded. It doesn't know the essential openness that's there. Until so in a skillful state just helps these little birds to just cool a bit and float a little bit, so space opens up. Because they're no longer cramped by pressure, by craving to be something, by craving to get rid of something, by craving to get more solid and arrive somewhere, arrive somewhere better, arrive at nibbana, arrive at non-returner, just get me somewhere. So that's pushing this whole thing together, isn't it? So you really want to could you just hang, and just like enjoy some nice warm currents. So oh yeah, that little bit of space. This is not that difficult, but to understand it is a bit difficult because you don't really have the model. We think the citta is a thing called me. It's not. Mm. Mm. Now, when we take something like metta, for example, metta bhavana, metta cultivation, you know, and the agitation and the trembling and the quarreling and that stops internally. You know, the internal quarreling, the internal grudging, the internal blaming oneself, the internal fear of what other people might do. You know, that stops. All these birds are no longer shaking and agitating with each other. They like to spread. So you open up and you feel this is beautiful. There's no pressure. It's space. Now the chitta can recognize, oh, all those memories, all those thoughts are just fluttering in the wind, really. Why go back to that? And so the space becomes more intelligent and wise. And so we practice metta, we see it in others, we recollect it as deeds, actions, words said long ago, and those are treasure. And this is just one. This is just one of the treasures. Mm-hmm. And it can begin with just bringing to mind goodwill that's been shown to you and acknowledging it, not having to pay it back. Yes, that was. I'm glad. I'm grateful. And then stay with it, and again, and and then as it heart fills up, then it's pretty likely it's going to want to. I want to give something back. So that's the way it goes. That's the way the heart is. You give it goodness, it wants to give goodness back. It's like the blood pours in, the blood pours out in the heart. Uh, and then, oh yeah, suddenly instead of thinking, oh no, I can tune into something that is more uplifting. And then you can let it develop. And then eventually, the words and the images can pass away, and you're just in a nice, buoyant, sweet, open state. From there, the citta is done what needed to be done by worldly flesh and blood pressure. I have good friends. I've internalized that to something that's not associated with incidents, even good friends. It's just a sense this is the quality itself. Now it's taken out from the daily life situation into something more eternal. This is the very quality that all beings experience. This quality, this gem, is not unique to me. So then you get what's called the Neranara, not associated with flesh and blood, but associated with something more timeless. And then you get what's called the release, Niramisata, which means like the freedom from ill will, from fear, from doubt, from self-criticism, from jealousy. Mm. Oh, this has left me. To this extent, there is release. And once the citta knows how it goes, you trust the process. right? Then you can, you can cultivate in this way through skillful states. So, mm, uh, calm, mm, calming the body, bringing calm, reassuring energy into the body. Mm. First of all, just getting the body to feel comfortable, okay, strong, healthy, supple, open, treating the body well. And this is kind of flesh and blood comfort. And then you come into that, you can sense the energies in the body are now bright, soothed, not constricted, not jumping. Ah. And then you get this refined quality of piti sukha, and things start to shimmer. And then it's no longer me. This is the quality that people speak of. Mm. And now my chitta is relieved from ill will, sense desire, dullness, restlessness, worry, doubt. Ah. And there's no need to make a person out of this. So, of course, when you explain it, it sounds very verbal. It also sounds like it only takes a couple of minutes. No, it doesn't take a couple of minutes. But if you do it a couple of years or so, you're going to get some definitely notice changes. Uh, and if you cultivate good friends and keep five precepts and keep your body fit and cultivate five precepts and do acts of generosity and loving kindness, yes, you're going to feel good. Don't think this is just, irrelevant. No, this is foundational, and you're going to feel good, and and you can sit still because there's no your body and your mind are free from the pressure. And then, certainly what we call bhavana, meditation, becomes a lot more obvious, provided you don't think too much about it. And I think this is sometimes where we go wrong because you can read a lot about it, and you can read really a lot about it, and you can think a lot about it, and you can get all kinds of very detailed presentations about it. You think about it. This way or that way. Yeah. So, and it's all well intentioned with people trying to help, because that's the nature of books, isn't it? It means a teacher who can be there on your desk anytime you like. It's very handy. Yeah. But it's not the real thing. Yeah. So you say, well, sometimes I always find it's just best to really put the book away. I got the basic thing. Okay, get comfortable, feel good, do good things. Try to just rest from worrying about yourself and striving to get better and trying to get to some state, and I'll just stop doing that and just deeply trust the process and sense into your body. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe, do that. I might look at that book again. So what did he say? Oh, yeah. Okay. That's kind of like that. And you realize you have to, well, I always sense whatever anybody else says, really the Buddha is my teacher. I mean, that's where it all came from. So eventually I got to go back to it. If I want to look for guides, I've got to go back to that, you know. And he saw all kinds of things he didn't say. He didn't say concentrate. He said you enter samadhi. Don't do it, you enter it. He said my chitta is concentrated because of mindfulness. Because of mindfulness, my chitta is concentrated. Mindfulness is the concentrator because that says this and not that, this and not that, this, no, stay, this and not that, now drink it in. Samadhi arises from the basis as, okay, you've done your work, good, now enter it. Means for that moment, just stop flapping your wings. Oh, oh, okay, a little bit of flap. When it goes off, a little bit of flap, then, okay, oh, yeah. And it's that. So then there's this silence that comes in because whenever volition, that's intention to do it, whenever that can not just be suppressed, but actually subside, it goes into silence. It's not just auditory silence, it's like a silence of the mind. Thought dies down, and the heart is listening and just present. So whenever our intentions to make things work, or even good intentions, okay, they've gone that far. Thank you very much. Now we can relax. Now you can let go. And the body holds it. Your body holds the steadiness. There is no ill will. There is no craving. There is no restlessness. Absorbed to that. Even unskillful intentions such as malice, hostility, practice is, if mindfulness is strong, holds those and doesn't allow them to be fed by more memory and more perception and more I am, right? So you're feeling annoyed because of her. Well, she's not here now. Okay, so let go of that. Feeling annoyed because I feel I've been hurt. Or let go of the me. There's hurt, throbbing, anger. Okay, stay with that. Now, if you've let go of her and you've let go of me, there's not much left, is there, really? You go, this is the same thing everybody gets. This quality. So you don't, there's where you don't get agitated or, I am an angry person. Why did she do this? Why can't I bear it? I should be more patient. Blah, 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 blah. I feel as anger arises. Can't, be nice if it didn't, but it has. Can't go back now. So we've got to find a way to let it move and cease. You know? Yeah. And some of it's pretty unpleasant, isn't it? I really hate so and so. So we get this, and then this is the quality of. So again, you take the person out of it, take the subject out of it. It's just this tight, angry, hot state. Bring some metta around that. Hold it carefully. Don't have to get rid of it. Don't do that because that puts more activity into it. Just hold it in stillness. Let it move. You might find somewhere in your body goes, oh, and the heart opens up. You're holding it tight somewhere, and it releases. That's the way we cultivate. And because there's inheritance of, irritation and sadness and worry and grief and concern for other people. There's a whole upadi, inheritance. There's generally a bit of stuff that's got to be listened to and allowed to move on its way. This is the deep cleansing process. So we always have to bear in mind these fundamental qualities of goodwill and confidence and cultivating qualities that will support that basic current of goodness, punya, that allows these other qualities to be accessed and born fruit. Yeah. Even a little bit of space between one flapping wing and another, even a little bit of space between one thought and the next thought. Right? That thought is changing. It's not you. Open and let it fly out and don't feed it. So we cultivate like this. Mm. 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 And certainly when you're doing these retreats, it can feel quite intense at times. But for sure, well, I feel pretty confident when I notice people going through these processes. You get to the end of it and think, that was a lot of work. I feel great. Really got some stuff moved in, got some stuff out, cleaned out a hell of a heap of stuff, and developed some good things. You can't lose. You really can't lose.